Welcome to the African Agenda. Before we go any further, pause for just a second, because what you're about to hear sounds like a glitch in the Matrix, the kind of headline that makes you squint at your phone and say, "No way, that can't be right." Burkina Faso. Yes, that Burkina Faso, landlocked, Sahel, a country the world has long described using words like poor, fragile, unstable, dependent, a place often mentioned in reports, not in success stories. And yet suddenly, something strange started happening. Videos began circulating online. Smooth, wide highways, fresh asphalt, clean medians, roads cutting through cities and landscapes that, until recently, were dominated by dust, potholes, and dirt tracks. Roads so modern that people started whispering a sentence that sounded almost illegal to say out loud. Why do these roads look like Dubai? This wasn't a filter. It wasn't borrowed footage. It wasn't propaganda stitched together from somewhere else. It was real. And it forced the world to confront a deeply uncomfortable question. How is Burkina Faso doing this? To understand why this is shocking, you need to understand where Burkina Faso was coming from. From independence in 1960 all the way to 2022, the country managed to pave just over 3,600 kilometers of roads. More than 60 years. Do the math, and it's barely 50 or 60 kilometers per year. Entire regions remained isolated. Farmers struggled to reach markets. Soldiers took days to move where they needed hours. Development moved at a pace so slow it felt permanent. And it wasn't because Burkinabe people lacked intelligence or effort. It was because the system was designed to move slowly. Every road required a foreign loan. Every loan required approvals. Every approval came with conditions. Contracts went to foreign firms. Profits flowed outward. Delays piled up. And by the time a road was finally completed, it often cracked under the first serious rainy season. That was the old script. Then came September 30th, 2022. When Captain Ibrahim Traoré took power, many expected chaos. That's the default assumption whenever an African country breaks from the script written for it. Instability, sanctions, confusion. Instead, what followed was something no one predicted. Concrete, asphalt, heavy machinery, construction crews, movement. Suddenly, the conversation shifted from kilometers per decade to kilometers per year. Not hundreds, thousands, up to 5,000 kilometers annually. Let that sink in. A country that once crawled is now sprinting. And this isn't a future promise. It's a process already unfolding on the ground. Naturally, the next question came fast. Who's funding this? Which donors stepped in? Which foreign power is pulling the strings? Because in the old model, nothing of this scale happened without outside permission. That's where the story flips the table. These roads are not being built by French companies, not by World Bank contractors, not by international consultants billing millions for reports. They are being built by Burkinabe hands, soldiers, students, civil servants, mothers, even children during school breaks. There is footage of the president himself operating heavy machinery, not standing nearby for a photo, not waving from a podium, actually working the equipment. Boots in the dust, diesel in the air. In that moment, nation building stops being a slogan and becomes something literal. The program behind this transformation is called Faso Mebo, which means building the fatherland. And that name matters because this isn't framed as a government project. It's framed as a national responsibility. The idea is simple but revolutionary. Instead of outsourcing development, mobilize the nation itself. Soldiers are trained as engineers. Military units don't just secure territory, they build it. Students learn how to mold pavement blocks. Citizens contribute labor, materials, and time. By cutting out foreign contractors and middlemen, Burkina Faso slashed infrastructure costs dramatically. Roads that once cost millions per kilometer under traditional contracts could now be built for a fraction of that price. No loan interest, no profit extraction, no endless consultancy fees. The money stays inside the country. Local suppliers benefit. Skills remain. Knowledge compounds. But make no mistake, this was never just about roads. Roads are power. Roads decide who moves, how fast, and at what cost. They determine whether soldiers arrive in time or too late, whether farmers reach markets or watch crops rot, whether a country controls its own space or waits for permission to move within it. For decades, Burkina Faso could not move without approval. A loan from here, a signature from there, a contract written somewhere else. Traoré's realization was brutally simple. You cannot build sovereignty on borrowed roads. So instead of asking for permission, the state invested in capacity. Hundreds of pieces of heavy machinery were purchased with national funds. Bulldozers, graders, excavators, compacting machines. Not gifts, not loans, owned. These machines were handed to military engineering units and deployed nationwide. Multiple road projects running simultaneously across cities and regions. In places like Ouagadougou, kilometers of urban roads appeared in months. Sidewalks, medians, drainage. Compare that to the previous era, where a few hundred kilometers could take years. The difference is so extreme it feels unreal, yet it's visible under tires and feet. There's also a strategic dimension many outsiders overlook. In regions affected by insurgency, mobility is everything. Instead of relying only on military operations, the government focused on logistics. Roads allowed faster troop movement, reliable supply lines, and economic activity that undercut extremist recruitment. Asphalt became a tool of stability, not through destruction, but through connection. When people physically build their country, something changes. Development stops being abstract. It's no longer a promise on television. It's something you touched, carried, molded, and laid with your own hands. Trust grows. Morale rises. Citizens stop seeing the state as distant and start seeing it as collective. Burkina Faso is quietly experimenting with a different form of governance. Some call it buildocracy, where legitimacy is earned not through speeches, but through visible construction. You don't measure success by conferences attended, but by kilometers completed, by roads that last, by cities that function. The world may continue to label Burkina Faso as poor, landlocked, or unstable. But on the ground, a different reality is taking shape. A country once stuck on dirt tracks is laying highways at record speed. A nation long told to wait its turn is moving on its own terms. This isn't about competing with Dubai or impressing outsiders. It's about proving something far more radical, that development does not have to be outsourced, delayed, or dictated. That sovereignty is not something you beg for. It's something you build. So the next time someone dismisses Burkina Faso as behind, remember this. They are paving their future with their own hands, kilometer by kilometer, without permission. Because this isn't just infrastructure. This is a nation rebuilding itself on its own terms for its own future. Thank you for watching the African Agenda.